Hello, my name is Christain Conner. I'm a local realtor here in Bastrop, and today I'm here with
Jack Plimpton.
Yeah, Jack, so it's great to meet you, man. What do we got going on here?
Yeah, so here in Bastrop, Texas, we're looking at the first Italian ice joint here. It's gonna be with soft ice cream. We got our refreshing frozen desserts. Whether you're more of a mango, cherry, strawberry fan, or you're more of a chocolate lover, we can kind of meet you in where you're at.
Nice.
So yeah, we opened up kind of 2 weeks ago here. We're super excited. The community's received us so well. Our team has stepped up and really hit it out of the park. So
That's so good to hear. So it's been a good opening.
yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I heard that you're possibly breaking some records on.
Yes. I think so. So we're a fairly younger brand. It is a brand. It's out of Florida originally. There's like maybe 100 locations in Florida.
Oh wow.
So when I went to the University of Florida, I knew about it. My mom retired down to Florida some years ago, so I was familiar with it. But I was originally up in the New Jersey area, and so grew up around Italian ice. Then went down to Florida and discovered this sort of new and emerging brand. They kind of called on opening day and they were like, oh no, I think there might be something wrong with the POS systems. My area rep was here as well as some other really supporting fellow owners and operators. And they were like, no, the POS systems are right. Yes. Bastrop really showed up for us. We had a big line kind of out the door, right out the gate.
That's so awesome.
We had people coming in buying cakes for their birthdays, buying cakes for the bank, things like that. So they really kind of were breaking down the door for us here in a great way.
That's so cool. Well, I gotta know, what's your favorite one?
Yes. So it depends on my mood. It depends on when you're asking me.
Fair.
I got to nuance it a little bit. If it's sort of late night, my favorite's the grasshopper, which is going to be the chocolate vanilla swirl with cookies and cream, Italian ice.
Okay.
Also with the mint chocolate chip, which we called Scoop Froggy Frog.
Scoop Froggy Frog.
And so it's like this nice green, vibrant color, but then you got the cookies and cream, which is sort of that rich flavor. You got Oreos layered in too.
Yeah.
So at nighttime, that's my favorite. But during the daytime, mango is so tough to beat.
It is.
So like a mango cherry on an occasion, strawberry on an occasion. Those like lighter ones during the daytime or the hot afternoon. That's you'll find me have one of them.
I like that.
Yeah.
Sweet. So Jack, we gotta know, what made you pick Bastrop?
Yeah. So some people are kind of curious whether we picked Jeremiah's first, we picked Bastrop. Where did we kind of land in the mix of all that in our decision-making process? We actually picked Bastrop first.
Really?
And then we were like, we fell in love with this town for all the obvious reasons. We went to the music festival. We were like, whoa, what is this place? It feels like we're sort of out of a TV show, out of a movie. One of my favorite TV shows growing up was like Parks and Rec.
Oh yeah.
So it's sort of this small town feel, like everyone knows everybody. Everyone's saying like, hey, how are you? A lot of different types of folks, but they all love the same place and they all kind of see what's special about this spot. So my wife and I, we moved here about 4 years ago and fell in love with it. And then about a year in almost, we started experiencing, we loved a lot about Bastrop, but we started noticing like, man, wouldn't it be nice if we had X, Y, Z? Wouldn't it be nice? Oh man, like we love all of our spots here and we love supporting them, but we don't want to go into Austin every few weeks, or every a couple times a week. We'd prefer to go maybe like a couple times a month instead.
Right.
We were like, okay, well, that means that Bastrop needs to have a few extra options. And again, this was like 3-4 years ago. So Bastrop has now already sort of developed so many more options. We got Chipotle now. We got all these new and killer spots in addition to some of our other like big hitters. My wife and I were like, man, like where's like a community space? Where do kids hang out? Where do people who aren't hitting the bars or aren't hitting downtown, Main Street, Old Town, where are they kind of gathering around?
Right.
On let's say a Thursday night, a Friday night, a Saturday. And we decided to think about our own lives and where do we hang out? For me personally, I hung out at the local Rita's, or in New Jersey, the local pizza shop. Just because in New Jersey, it's pizza or it's Italian ice. There's a lot of Italian influence there.
That's cool.
And so we hung out there, and my wife, Allie, was like, oh, well, we hung out at like the frozen yogurt shop. We hung out at this sort of spot. And so we started thinking, we're like, man, Bastrop needs something like that. We were in a long car ride and we started talking about heading back here to Bastrop, looking forward to being back here. We had spent a little time away over with family for a week or two. And we were like, oh, what are we looking forward to? As soon as we get back, what are we gonna have? What are we gonna eat? What are we gonna enjoy?
Right.
And so we started reminiscing, and then we were like, oh wait, you know what my first job, what my first job was? And we started talking about that. It was an 8-9 hour car ride. My wife was like, oh, I worked at a frozen yogurt shop for my first job. I was like, oh, no way. I was like, I worked at an Italian bakery for my first job.
Yeah.
And we were like, man, how fun was that? We were reminiscing about it.
Right.
We were talking about like all the fun memories that sort of came out of that. And we started thinking about, again, the community spaces and these sort of aspects. We started realizing like, man, like Bastrop could really kind of use one of those spots.
Definitely.
And we then thought, okay, what is that going to look like? You know, we had a long car ride back, so we had like a few hours to kind of brainstorm and sort of think, oh, what about this? What about that? And so we just sort of started developing this idea over the course of a couple hours together.
Yeah.
We actually sort of thought, so community space-wise was very important for us. And secondly, too, product-wise, we were like, man, ice cream's great, obviously, like a Dairy Queen Blizzard, nothing, I'm a fan of a Dairy Queen Blizzard. But we were like, in the Texas heat, neither of us are from Texas originally, and so the heat kind of shocked us a bit.
Yeah.
And we were like, all right, like ice cream, I get it, it's cooling, it's refreshing, but that's something I want to have at like 9 p.m., 10 p.m. after like a long, hot day.
Right.
What are people doing at like 1 p.m.?
Yeah.
What are people doing like right after a big meal at dinner time? I don't want to wait till 10 p.m. to get a refreshing treat. Yeah. So we ended up being like, oh, Italian ice. And my wife grew up around snowballs, snow cones, that kind of thing, in New Orleans. And so we started thinking about that kind of route of options, or something people could enjoy during the daytime as well as into the evening. We kind of ran with that idea, and so Bastrop was sort of already the given, and then we said, we love this place. Now, how do we sort of protect its charm and all the things we love about it while amplifying what it has to offer? That's kind of how we ended up thinking, okay, well, we love the community aspect, so we need to sort of lean into the community aspect. We love that there are options here, but it's limited, so how do we kind of enhance that realm of things? And at one point, our first idea was that I was going to set up with a push cart outside of HEB, and then eventually we'd be able to afford like a community space for it. Right. We would have to kind of start like grassroots, hitting the streets kind of vibe. Me out there with an umbrella and a push cart. But then my loving mother was like, Jack, does this really have legs? You know, like, are you really, 1 year, you might even be profitable, whatever, doing that. Low overhead, you could make decent money doing that, but really like, what happens when you have kids? What happens 3 years from now? What happens, how long will it actually take you to grow from that? And so then we were thinking of different avenues of growth, and we knew Bastrop was going to grow with us and grow quickly. So we sort of said, okay, let's ride the wave of Bastrop and its growth, and how do we kind of situate ourselves in on the ground floor? And so that way, as it grows, we're then riding the full wave with it. And that's when we kind of brokered a conversation with the brand that I knew from Florida, from living there, Jeremiah's. And I knew that they were expanding rapidly. They were targeting very ambitious, young, energetic folks, and they kind of want to lean into younger talent. And so I said, man, it just feels sort of like, a kismet match, sort of like destined to be. So we flew to Orlando, we did interviews, we said, hey, you pitch us, we pitch you, let's kind of have a conversation here. And they loved the small town idea kind of vibe that we had going. They loved the family orientation that we had, the local, we have a stake there, we're there, that kind of thing. They said, man, you guys it was a good cultural alignment then. So then we had to wait, we had to do a long little process, line many things up, and then almost 3 years later, this is sort of what we ended up with. So
that's awesome.
It was a long process, but we made it happen.
So this has been 3 years in the making?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a lot of time and a lot of patience for sure.
Sounds like it.
But yes, it's that's why we're so full with pride about this place. It's it's great.
That is so cool. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So Jack, as you know, and as some people might know, starting a business, especially a new business, is never easy. So what is some of the challenges you faced when trying to open this place, and how did you overcome it?
Sure. So I think on a personal level, I think the challenge I had to kind of overcome was patience. Things just take far longer than you'd like to, and basically every area, it's not really one thing, it's just sort of everything goes at a little bit slower because everyone is thinking about liability, everybody's thinking about kind of covering their own butts and getting every kind of thing lined up, which is all good and valid reasons to slow down a process, but it also just slows down the process ultimately, and I think that there is sort of a reputation too, like in the business world, that the person who is like the entrepreneur, the person who is wanting something built or something done, they always want to go basically 10 times faster than how fast the lenders want to go, or the developer, or blah, 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 all these different people involved. And you have to kind of rely on all those people. So you almost have to kind of meet halfway in the middle a little bit. But ultimately, they almost dictate the pace far more than you ever will. So I think patience in general. And then there's just not one particular avenue or a particular party that's responsible for that. It's actually it's just almost by design from every different side of things. My advice would be to kind of just plan early and to sort of accept the fact that it's going to take 2 to 3 times as long as you would like it to. And again, that's due to many, many different reasons, many different parties. Like I almost wish that I would almost have one party that I could track down and say, why are you holding this up? But it's just like everybody, and everybody's kind of doing how it's been designed to be done. So I will say that's sort of a hurdle I've had to personally overcome, is sort of trying to figure out my patience and trying to say like, hey, I want this done last year, and now we're, you know what I mean? The big thing otherwise on a more concrete level that is a challenge is lending, and actually like financial, to be totally blunt with you. There are options for people who are young like myself, who don't really have endless assets or things like that. And so there's the SBA option, the small business loan option, which is sort of federally backed. And so that way then lenders sort of have a little bit more leeway or a little bit more flexibility with working with you. However, you can imagine that it's not only then the bureaucratic templates of the individual lenders, but you have to then work with the federal bureaucracies too. So then you're looking at basically 2 to 3 times the level of paperwork, those kind of things. And they try to work with you as best as possible, but their hands are tied. Of course. It's sort of like with that great kind of leeway that they can now pass in terms of waiving a lot of their liability for lending to people who might otherwise not qualify per se. They have to also prove that you're not actually a risky kind of, this kind of class.
A bad investment.
Exactly. So even though their investment is the downside of their investment is mostly covered and backed by the federal government too doesn't want to get into a position where they're covering investments that are just totally like, what are we doing here kind of thing. So you can imagine all those different kind of bureaucratic hurdles kind of slows down a process and makes it a little bit more frustrating too. Because it's like, man, I gave this to 5 different people, now they want this DocuSign, blah, blah, blah. So it can very quickly slow down a process. So on like a personal level, you kind of just got to swallow that. But it's also the benefit of, well, maybe without that avenue, it wouldn't really be possible at all. So it's that perspective. But nonetheless, it's no less frustrating. So
that's for sure. Awesome. Well, that's good to know.
Thank you.
So piggybacking on that last idea a little bit, what is something you would, advise or give a recommendation to someone trying to start a business, either here in Bastrop or just overall?
I think at the very least in Bastrop, but I imagine that it would carry over to other places, would be the investment in the town, investment in, obviously we live here, so it's an easy sell for us to say, oh yeah, let's go all in on our town for sure. That's like something that instinctively we're doing anyways, because we love it here and we live here and we want the best for our town. And that's obviously most of the motivation for us even doing this in the first place, was to amplify and enhance the place that we love. I think that if you go all in on a place, and that means kind of showing up to community meetings, that means saying like, oh, hey, I haven't met you before, but I know that you're the owner of this restaurant, or hey, I know you're passionate about this, or hey, I know you help run like the food pantry downtown, things like that. I think it means a lot in a small town when you just walk up to somebody, you say, hey, by the way, I'm Jack. I know that you are passionate about this, and I appreciate you for doing that, and to kind of, whether it's as simple as like, hey, you guys got the best, whatever, chicken sandwich in town, or like, hey, you guys are awesome for everything that you do to help, feed our county, for example.
Right.
And so those kind of gestures, those kind of investments in your community, whether it's just showing up at, church on a Sunday, or showing up at like a political meeting or something that is, hey, this is like a hot topic in town.
Right.
Going in and just sort of saying like, hey, like, what's the pulse of the town? How do we feel about this? Those kind of things. Just trying to get a read on it. It is a small town. We have a diverse variety of perspectives here too, which is really fascinating for a small town. You almost think of like a monolith when you think of a small town, but it's actually wild. There's a lot of people here who've been here for 5 generations, and then there's other folks like me and my wife who've been in here only for a few years. So it's people who we're meeting people who have seen Bastrop grow over an immense amount of time, maybe since like they were like a boy, and then they've seen it grow. And so you're having those conversations, and then you're also having conversations with like my wife and I, who we have a variety of, we've lived in many different places. And so we kind of have something else to offer the table, being like, hey, we've seen this and this has worked really well, or hey, we've seen this done and this has actually worked really poorly. And so being in those conversations and saying, hey, I'm a stakeholder here, I live here, I love it here, I care about it here, is probably the biggest thing, because that goes a long way. And it shows people that like, hey, like, we're trying to invest in this town. And then all of our success has really just come from the town saying, hey, we're invested in you guys because we know that you guys have our back, and so we got y'all's back.
That's so awesome.
So really that's kind of the advice I got is like, look, like, if you go to bat for places like a town, like a community, then that community is gonna say, hey, these guys are awesome, they're in our corner, they got our back, let's go show up for them, that kind of thing.
That is so awesome.
So yeah, whatever that kind of means, whether that's showing up to a political meeting, whether that means like, sort of being out there, shaking that person's hand and saying, hey, just wanted you to know, I know you're the head of this, and I've seen tremendous growth and development in that area. And I just want to say, like, thank you. I know that you're sort of leading the charge on that. Thank you so much. I live here, my wife and I live here, like, thank you. That goes so far for people. A little bit of recognition of people's hard work goes such a long way.
Right, especially in a small town where like here, I mean anywhere, but word of mouth, like you cannot beat word of mouth.
Right, exactly. And this is the kind of spot where it's like people walk down and maybe, like I said, people are sometimes at different, political meetings, or maybe it's at a church, or maybe it's at, a restaurant or whatever. And people have strong opinions because we have so many different opinions, like, so many different perspectives here. But still, nonetheless, we have that small town, like, hey, you live three blocks down from me. How you doing? Are you having a good morning today? So, people break bread here pretty easily, I think, which is such a lovely place to live, where it's like, at the end of the day, I grew up around Italians, and at the end of the day, like, you're all meeting at the dinner table, breaking bread and saying, hey guys, like, how was your day? Even if you guys fight, during the day. So it's that kind of, everyone at the end of the day says, you know what, we all live in the same spot and we love it here. So
that's so awesome. Well, I'm sure the city of Bastrop will appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, welcome to Jeremiah's.
Hello.
How are you?
Doing good. Yourself?
Good. Can I help you with the menu at all today?
Yeah. I guess I don't really know what I want.
You know what? Come on in. I'll give you the full tour. How's that?
Sweet. Let's do it. Right.
Hey, come on in.
Hey. Man, this mural is awesome.
Thank you. It's just fully embraced our town of Bastrop here. Yeah, we got a lot of options here. I'll walk you through it. Don't be intimidated, all right? We got all our Italian ice flavors right up here. Strawberry, lemon, we got cookies and cream, which we actually make with real Oreo. We kind of break it down for it. We got the Bahama Freeze, which is like a rotational flavor we got right now. It's gonna be coconut, mango, strawberry, and lemon. Super light, super refreshing. But most people are like, hey, I've never been here before. What even is Italian ice? So I call it the Goldilocks middle because we got shaved ice or snow cones on the one end of the spectrum. We got ice cream on the other side of the spectrum. It's that Goldilocks middle, meaning it's going to be smoother and creamier than shaved ice will be. And then it's going to be lighter and more refreshing than ice cream. So you're kind of right there in that middle. We also do ice cream, soft ice cream is what we call it, because ours is actually going to be richer and creamier than your typical soft serve.
Really?
We use a little bit less air too for it, and our the ice cream that we use is actually going to be a little bit like richer, and so you'll be able to taste that difference, and it's perfect because then it balances out the Italian ice flavors. So that's really what we're known for. That's like the gelati. So if you see on my shirt right here, that's like what a gelati is. So it's going to be the perfect layering of our soft ice cream with the Italian ice of your choosing. So you can kind of build your own if you want that, if you want the mango vanilla, if you want the cherry vanilla, strawberry vanilla, or if you want cookies and cream and chocolate, if you like more of the chocolate direction, you can do that. But hey, if it's your first time in, you're saying, building your own sounds a little too out there for me right now. Let me first start out with the Frog Squad favorites. So what these guys are is like, the people who come in all the time, they usually have one or two up here where that's their go-to. Maybe they'll pick their own adventure and build their own, or they're like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna trust the experts. I'm gonna say the Oreo mud pie is gonna be a big hitter.
Yeah.
For me personally, it's the grasshopper because I love mint chocolate chip. And the difference between the grasshopper and the Oreo mud pie is basically just that you get the Oreo mud pie, but you also get some what we call Scoop Froggy Frog, which is our mint chocolate chip.
Scoop Froggy Frog.
Yes. The founder, Jeremy, was super into kind of 90s rap and Snoop Dogg. And so he was listening to Snoop Dogg and he's like, Snoop Dogg, more like Snoop Frog. He's like, wait, Snoop Dogg, Snoop Frog, Scoop Frog, Scoop Froggy Frog. And so that's sort of the origin story of that. So
actually?
Yes, actually,
so
100%. Can't make it up. Too good to be true. So you guys can make your own. You can kind of stick with the tried and true flavor. Or if you say, you know what, I'm old school, I just want a vanilla in a cone, or hey, I just want a vanilla or a chocolate in a cup, maybe with some sprinkles, we can do that too.
Okay.
Like I said too, most people are pretty blown away by our ice cream.
Yeah.
Because they're expecting soft serve. And we technically, if you see up top, we call it soft ice cream to help kind of subtly differentiate how we're different than soft serve that you'll get from XYZ. And people, as soon as they taste it, they go, wow, this is so much creamier, richer, smoother than I thought it would be.
Awesome.
And so, we really kind of amped it up with that.
Yeah.
Questions? Birthday, we got you set up over here, all right?
Okay.
So brand new this month, we just launched our gelati cakes. So I told you, right, the gelati is gonna be the perfect layering of our ice cream with our Italian ice.
Yeah.
And we decided, those Frog Squad favorites that I told you about?
Yeah.
Like the Oreo mud pie. We also got a great one, it's called the strawberry shortcake. And we're like, okay, if we're doing cakes, we gotta do a birthday cake flavor too.
Right.
So we decided to make that. And so we got them all right here in the case. They can slice for about 8 thick slices or 10 slightly thinner slices.
Really?
So if you have a party, maybe it's just sort of within your immediate family, you got some, siblings, mom and dad. One of these guys could be a perfect evening treat. Actually, one of my favorite things that we do, and what I've been trying to kind of give samples to for people are ice cream sandwiches. So we're partnered with Oreo, and I'll just show you what these guys look like. We're partnered with Oreo, so it's a real Oreo wafer on the outside.
No way.
But we actually use our ice cream, which I told you, right, is gonna be smoother, creamier, super rich.
Yeah.
So people bite into this and it's kind of flash frozen. So it's got like a good bite to it. And it's not gonna like melt in your hands, for example.
Right.
And so you can really sort of taste the rich creaminess. I'm not even an Oreo fan, like, to be honest, but this is like one of my favorite things in the world. It's like, so if you say, the Italian ice, maybe it's a little like too sweet for me or whatever. If you're more of like a creamier, richer kind of palate, this is gonna be your guy, I promise you.
Sweet.
And then we also, for people who wanna bring it home, we got plenty of quarts too here. So like the Oreo mud pie, so we've created these. I've heard from many folks, they say, hey, we've been here 6-7 times since y'all opened.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, thank you so much for supporting us. And they're like, no. We also have quarts at home. So we basically had Jeremiah's every day of the week for 2 weeks.
That's
and I'm
awesome.
like, wow, awesome, thank you guys.
That's so cool.
So we kind of have a little bit of everything. These are sort of we call them the hop away. There's a lot of frog,
I like
analogies here and puns.
Yeah, I see the frog right over there.
Yes. So my grandmother actually made that for us. She crocheted it as sort of a, hey, congratulations, y'all have waited so long to make this happen, and it's finally happening. And so she spent a long time crafting that, which is really fun for us.
That's adorable. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
any other questions? What are you thinking? We got the ice cream, we got the sprinkles, we got the Oreo crumble.
Okay.
So you can customize these guys up here. So let's say you say, oh, you know what? I want the Oreo mud pie, but instead of the chocolate vanilla, I want maybe just the vanilla ice cream. Totally. Or hey, I want the Oreo mud pie, but I think that adding more Oreo to it might be a little too much for me. Could I actually get sprinkles with it too? Totally. We can make that happen. Yeah, so you can kind of customize those as well. You can say, hey, can I do a sugar cookie? But instead of the cake batter and the cookie butter, can I do it with just the cake batter or just the cookie butter? Absolutely, we'll make it happen.
Sweet. Well, I think I know what I want. I appreciate it.
Yes, for sure. We do like seasonal stuff here too, obviously. You know, the spiced mango's super trendy these days. So we got that with the tahini and the chamoy.
Yeah.
I was telling you about the Bahama Freeze. We got the Bahama Mama right here. So that's going to be like the perfect July, August treat. Bahama Freeze, Italian ice, vanilla, soft ice cream, and then we got coconut shreds in there. Tough to beat that.
Dude, that sounds perfect.
Yes.
Awesome.
Should I get that hooked up for you? Bahama Mama?
The Bahama Mama, I think that's what I need.
All right, let's do it.
A few moments later.
Hey,
what's up?
Hey, I got you a sample real quick because I can describe the menu in so many different ways, but honestly, the best way to understand it is to try it. So here's gonna be that cherry for you, and I put it with a little bit of vanilla, sort of like what you see on my shirt or on the mural behind you.
Yeah.
This is kind of what we're known for, is actually layering the two with both the vanilla and the cherry.
No way, that looks so good.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Enjoy.
Thanks. Appreciate it.